I don't know if that can be on the record. Just kidding.
Let's talk about WISE.
A intense practice workshop which runs on a mutually beneficial basis.
And mutually beneficial means that everybody helps everybody else to improve.
And this is what WISE sounds like.
Soit t'as carrément dit a-t-il été injuste? Et du coup, ben voilà.
The two people behind WISE are
Joe Burbidge.
José Sentamans.
I'm from the UK and I'm an interpreter with English A, Spanish B, French and Italian C. I guess I was always fascinated with languages and wanted to become an interpreter, but I was actually told that by my French teacher at school. He told me that that he'd never taught anyone who was good enough to be an interpreter. Taught English and then decided to take the masters, see if I could go for it with interpreting, and the rest is history.
I realized that I wanted to do interpreting as soon as I put the headphones on during the translation degree in Castellón, where I studied. And then, basically I went to the UK for like 4 years to work in a translation company, to work on my English and also in my German during my spare time. After working for 4 years there, I went to La Laguna, where I met Joe. So my initial idea was to move to Brussels after the masters, but after 4 years in the UK, 1 year in Germany, I wanted to get some sun back, and I wanted to give it a try in Valencia. And luckily, things are working out well in Valencia, which is where I'm based, and I work in the private market in Spain.
If you are an interpreter, chances are you've heard of WISE. Maybe you've even attended one in the past several years. I had been eager to talk about it with Joe and José, so in the summer of 2018 I paid them a visit at the premises of the Catholic University of Leuven, not far away from the historical centre of Brussels. But the origins of WISE lie almost 4,000 kilometers away from here, on the beautiful island of Tenerife.
So we were studying together, and when we finished, we didn't really know where to turn. We didn't know, there's no door you can knock on, there's no email address that you can send an inquiry to saying, how do I become an interpreter? And so we practiced there. We told other friends about it, other colleagues who were in a similar position, and lots of people started saying, oh, that's a good idea. Why don't I do a bit of practice? Yeah, good to work on my skills whilst I'm waiting for other things to happen, whilst I'm waiting for my big break in the freelance market. And so we then got a group of colleagues together, and we held the first session of WISE. José and I just spoke to each other and said, why don't we create something?
Why don't we create something? Why not, indeed? Joe had moved to London meanwhile and was teaching at the conference interpreting course at Westminster University.
We didn't have a big plan for it or anything like that. We just thought, let's see if we can do one seminar that works well, and we'll make a clear timetable. Because when we were practicing previously, it had just been you turn up to the room and practice with whoever's there. Yeah. But we thought it's better to have a timetable that makes it clear for everyone, so that everyone can practice the combinations they want to work on, etc.
Now, Westminster is actually at the origin of the WISE acronym.
Westminster Interpreting Seminar. So that's where the acronym comes from.
But none of the seminars actually ever took place there.
It was never held there, so they would have charged us a lot of money to do it. And so we asked around among other universities, and we found that London Metropolitan was willing to hold it. And so the first year we did London Metropolitan and Valencia back to back.
And regarding my half of WISE, I have to say that we were really lucky that the Universidad Europea de Valencia, they saw this as a great idea, and they committed very quickly to the idea since the moment go. And in the last 6 years, it's been always in Valencia. And I mean, in Spain, it's been always at the Universidad Europea de Valencia.
Slowly but surely, WISE made its way from Tenerife to London, Valencia, and Brussels.
I moved away from London to Brussels, and so I brought WISE with me. My half of WISE, I guess.
And that's how a group of friends practicing together turned into, well, a bit of a movement.
The first time we did it very selfishly because we wanted it for us. And we wanted
to improve our interpretation. Yeah,
exactly.
Now that we know where WISE comes from, let's take a closer look at how it works. First of all, if you want to be part of it, you have to apply.
Once we've agreed with the universities when we are going to hold the sessions, then we announce it online, and we put out the application form. The application form consists of a number of questions about the experience that each candidate has.
We give like a 2-month window, I think, for registration, and then we start with the selection process.
We can't accept everyone, unfortunately. So the first most important thing is, of course, language combination. So you need to have languages that other people also have, because that's the whole idea behind WISE. And then experience, not just in the booth, that's obviously important, but if somebody has been a teacher before, if they've taught on a master's course, then that means that the feedback they'll be giving to their fellow WISE participants would be of a higher quality, and that's what we want to encourage at WISE, ensuring that people have the best feedback possible.
1 month and a half at least before each workshop, we try to close the workshop, so to say, because then comes the hard bit, which is preparing the timetable.
Yeah, it's quite a puzzle matching all of the combinations together.
As we said before, it's a process that starts in January, but then it gets more and more intense the closer it gets to the actual dates of the workshop.
Right now, we're in August, so these are good dates for many people if they're willing to come away from the beach.
We call it organized chaos.
That's what it sounds like.
Different profiles of people, so to say, apply. We could have from people who just graduated from the masters to people working 10, 15 years.
I think we've had some people who have over 30 years experience who come and they decide that they want to add a new language or work on a retour. Other people who don't have much experience but are looking for opportunities. What we do when we go through the selection process is that we try to choose people who have experience, because that means that the feedback they give will be better.
Because sometimes you get surprises, like you would tend to think that someone working for 10, 15 years in the private market or wherever would tend to give better feedback than maybe a recent graduate, but sometimes it's not the case. So at the beginning, we were like very strict with just, the years that you had been working and all that stuff. And then we realized that sometimes like an intermediate point was better, in the sense that people who basically finish a good master's, the feedback tends to be really good because they've been giving and receiving good feedback during the year. So they choose things that maybe someone working for 15 years wouldn't consider so important. So I think that combination of seasoned interpreters with recent graduates from good masters, so to say, is really important. Every single participant is at the same time a speaker, a listener, and an interpreter. The success of WISE really relies on the goodwill of participants, and we are really in the background during WISE, or we try to.
perché appunto è ricco di mercurio, essendo anche quello un pesce grande, anche se secondo me è in assoluto il pesce più comodo.
Was essen jetzt die Veganer eigentlich genau?
Ma si astengono anche dal consumare tutti i prodotti di origine animale.
Dit zijn de basisingrediënten die zij niet mogen eten.
And there are so many dishes that include these ingredients, especially ready-made products such as biscuits.
Brauchen Sie Eier und so weiter und so fort. Außer Brot, das nur aus Wasser und Öl und Mehl besteht.
Puede que no lo hayamos pensado nunca. Igual nunca nos hemos planteado que llevar una chaqueta de cuero no es vegano.
When you give feedback, you want to maybe start with something positive. You can't just rip into someone saying, oh, this was bad, you got the wrong word there and your intonation was horrible. Be critical and constructive, helpful, but doing it in a nice way. And actually the atmosphere at Wise already is very conducive to that.
That is what makes feedback so good, because you realize that if you're too harsh on an interpreter on a Monday, that harshness might come back to you on a Thursday.
Regardless of the different levels of experience that people have, everybody is on a level playing field. So the most seasoned professional cannot come here thinking that they are going to lecture other people on how to do it. People come here with the motivation to work. The reason why they've come here is to improve. And that does take a certain amount of humility, I'd say, because when you're working in the booth professionally, really you don't, people don't really give feedback to each other in the booth.
This is the second time I've been at Wise. I was here 2 years ago, and I originally wanted to come because I was planning to add a C language, which in my case is French. And I've come back because I'm still not quite there, and I think this time I've really had a breakthrough. And I have to say, it's a very well organised course. It's very well worth the money, and they cater to everyone's needs, and nobody is ignored. And I feel that the tone and the atmosphere here are really good and very conducive to getting better at what we want to improve.
Wise is an opportunity for people to say, well, okay, now I'm preparing myself to receive criticism from other people, and also to give criticism, but to give it in the right way.
But then we thought, well, we put 25 interpreters together for a whole week, 9 to 5, from different countries. Well, this is going to be a nightmare. But then everything since the moment go was great. We never had a problem with people feeling that the feedback wasn't fair, or they didn't like it, or they thought they were better than other interpreters. And this is something that still surprises us.
Yeah, it's always been quite magical. We've never had a bad bunch.
We realized that just by getting together as much as possible outside of the booth, that was something having an impact on the feedback. They felt closer together, and they could be more honest with the feedback, and at the same time being more precise, or without fearing that the feedback was too harsh or whatever, because they had already a personal link to the other interpreters. We tend to kind of propose activities after in the evening, or after the sessions, and people are free to join, but we kind of push them to join us, so to create
encourage
them, man. For example, in Valencia, we do the small route through the old town, and then another small route through the new town, so to say, Ciudad de las Artes y las Ciencias.
With José, the tour guide.
Yeah, well, no, it's too much work. We try to give all tools which are needed to practice, but then the magic just happens somehow.
Yeah, there are plenty of other practice initiatives out there, and we're very much in support of all of them. But we're happy with the format that we've developed, and I think it works well. And yeah, definitely the personal side, the human interaction that we see is one of the most important things about Wise. And so for now, I don't think there's a need to change the format, really.
Now, there's one last thing about Wise that you need to know about.
Eyovakanda.
Iyokanda. Everything you always wanted to know and never dared to ask.
It can be anything that people want to discuss, really. So it could be invoicing, or it could be how to deal with the client, or booth etiquette, how to deal with a difficult situation that may arise in a conference.
Use of social media, remote interpreting in the last few years has been also quite popular. Rates, conditions. We like to add some craziness to the debate. This is simultaneously interpreted into all languages.
I think it's one of the only occasions when interpreters need to rely on interpreters to understand what's being said and to take part in a debate. Sometimes I'm sitting there and I hear German and Dutch, which I don't understand, and I actually am interested in the topic and I want to answer that person, so I need to listen to the interpreter and rely on them.
You know, we have people from 5 different languages or 6 different languages, but then many other countries, and then private markets and institutions. So you get to know many angles of many different markets and places. And I think that was very enriching in the last couple of years when we've done this debate. Sometimes you feel, as a freelance interpreter, especially, you will feel isolated when it comes to knowing about what other people are doing, how other markets are doing. And I think that can be, at the same time, concerning if you see that the same trends apply to all markets, but at the same time reassuring to see that we are all in the same, on the same boat and facing the same problems, and at the same time the same concerns. We have this feeling that there is some kind of a Wise community. It's not just you do the workshop once and you say goodbye. You keep in touch with people, both on a professional and personal level.
We always hear about someone who got a job here, or they found that opportunity over there because of someone I met at Wise.
Sometimes we get like very emotional messages like, thank you very much, because this was the week when I realized that I could do it, and I had been told for many months that I couldn't do it, and we really feel very honored.
On behalf of the interpreting community, thank you, Joe. Gracias, José. Here's to many more seasons of Wise.